Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and update show. The transfer window is closed, I know, but United signings are obviously the likes of Antony, CASEMIRO, Malacia, Eriksen and of course Lisandro Martinez, and I can already feel the stream lagging, so we are going to go and share the screen onto Antony's recent post because it's absolutely beautiful to see, But we've got a lot of news and a lot of really interesting news coming out about what actually happened with De Jong. Reports are now coming out about what really went down with the De Jong saga. There's lots of interesting reports coming out about how the board tried to sign this player, but then Ten Hag was like, no, we're not doing that. And you know what? I want to get into the news because it's really, really interesting. The board has come. There's been articles coming out saying that actually there was an agreement between De Jong and United, and De Jong had privately agreed to join United. And we're going to get into why the De Jong deal didn't happen, because De Jong had said to United and Ten Hag privately he was going to come, and his agent had agreed that De Jong was going to come to United, and this whole situation is coming out that De Jong was going to come. And we're going to discuss what went down to stop this deal coming. And I've always said, you know, Man United wouldn't have been in for De Jong that long if they didn't have indication he was going to join. But there's also some other crazy news coming out, and I think it's really crazy news. Obviously, you don't know if it's true or not, but you know, this is the Samuel Luckhurst, the Rob Dawson's sort of saying that basically, originally the transfer budget was quite low, and Ten Hag forced the board to up the transfer budget. Originally, they were not going to go in for Antony, but Ten Hag was forcing them to go in for Antony. Originally, they were going to sign this player, and Ten Hag said no. And there was reports that Man United didn't want to sign a centre back. The board said, "Why are you signing a centre back? We've got Maguire." And Ten Hag was like, "I'm going to sign this player. I'm going to sign this player. I'm going to sign this player." So I've got lots and lots to get into, and I think the news is really interesting. And I want to get into what really went down in the transfer window, what's being reported, and then I've got some funny bits of information to get into. But as you can see on the screen, Antony is in training, linking up with the boys Fred and Casemiro, which is what you love to see. But of course, guys, please do smash the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video. Oh, I just realised I'm watching my own video. I wonder why I was lagging. I had my own video open, which probably explains why I was lagging as well. And seen a few saying now, have you seen since Casemiro signed that McTominay has stepped up and turned into prime Busquets? It is interesting how as soon as Casemiro comes, we do see, there's a fucking spider in my room. We do see a new Scott McTominay, eh? It's like, imagine if Scott McTominay has that Luke Shaw season. You know how Luke Shaw just turned into this really good player out of nowhere? This is when Scott McTominay comes out and he has some kind of Luke Shaw-esque season, and poor old Casemiro will be like the tellers that can't get into the side. I mean, it would be absolutely crazy. Guys, I do apologise. There was a bit of lag at the beginning of the stream. I didn't realise I had YouTube playing my own video in another tab, which just, you know, causes the stream to lag up and that. So I do apologise for that, but I do want to get right into the news. But it is funny that Tomino's been really good the last two games. I will give him that. He lacks on the ball, but I guess, you know, if you look at our game, the defensive side of our game recently, I've been so impressed with what I've seen from Manchester United as well. And of course, quickly do subscribe if you're new, but on the road to 50,000 subscribers. But yes, let's get into the video. Let's get into the first story coming out. Let's get into the stories because you guys want to know what's happened with De Jong and all of that as well. But the first story I want to get into, and I want to get up on my screens, it's a story from Rob Dawson of ESPN. This is a really interesting story. It's talking about, you know, actually, it kind of reveals, for fuck's sake, why is it? Let me see if it comes up now. No, I've got to put an I in. That'll be right. Initially, where's this? There we go. Here is the story that came out from Rob Dawson of ESPN, and he said there was initially reservations about Ten Hag's plan to sign another centre-back, and there was a feeling within Manchester United that the budget would be better used elsewhere, but he insisted that he needed a left-footed defender to implement his play style, and reportedly the board basically didn't want to sign a centre-back. They weren't interested in signing a centre-back. They said, look, the funds should be going elsewhere. We don't need a centre-back at United, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. Reports coming out that the board basically weren't the slightest bit interested in signing a centre-back. And Ten Hag comes out and goes, I need a left-sided centre-back. I need Lisandro Martinez. Reportedly, the board just said, well, you've got Harry Maguire, you've got Lindelof, you've got Bayer, you've got Varane. The board were a bit sceptical. The board weren't the biggest fan of Erik Ten Hag buying a centre-back. And the board reportedly didn't want to buy a centre-back. And the reason we signed Lisandro Martinez, and it doesn't tell you a genius, it doesn't take a genius to tell you this. Lisandro Martinez was at Ten Hag with Ten Hag at Ajax. Because obviously Lisandro Martinez was, of course, a Ten Hag sign. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. But reportedly, basically, the board didn't want to sign a centre back this summer. The board in their head, because you know how like every other club goes around what the manager wants and all of that. No. At United, it works different. The board basically had in their head, we want to sign a DM, we want to sign a striker, and we might get someone else. And that's what the board kind of had in their head. Oh, we need a midfielder, we need a striker, and maybe something else, maybe an Eriksen on a free. That's what the board wanted to do this summer. And Ten Hag came in and he said to the board, I'm not another puppet. I'm not someone that's going to fuck about this summer. You're signing players who I want. We signed Antony because Ten Hag wants him. The board were doing all this trying to go for cheap alternatives. He said, I'd rather you sign no one at all than go and sign someone I don't want, is what Ten Hag said to the board. Ten Hag was like, I'm not going to be your puppet. I want a left-foot defender to implement my style of play, is what Ten Hag said to the board. I want a Sandro Martinez. So when the board are saying, oh, but we love Maguire, PR captain Maguire and all of that, Ten Hag made it clear, I want a left-foot centre-back. And what signing a left-foot centre-back has done for United is, one, he's left-footed. It gives that balance. It means we can play out the back in possession. I think Sandro Martinez has been absolutely excellent for Manchester United. Everyone with eyes can see that Sandro Martinez has been absolutely excellent for United. And I think the best bit for me is all the pundits coming out going, oh, the Sandro Martinez, 5'9". The Sandro Martinez is going to struggle at United. He's 5'9". All these pundits coming out slandering Martinez's height. Before the game, they were saying, "Oh, if I was this team, if I was this team, I'd be going down that left-hand side of United's defence. Malacia, the Sandro Martinez not on it." All these teams, all these pundits were coming out and slaughtering the Sandro Martinez and stuff. And Sandro Martinez has been absolutely brilliant for United. But not only has he been absolutely brilliant, but it was obvious that the Sandro Martinez was going to be the number one centre-back. You know how Maguire was the number one centre-back under Ollie? Bailly and Lindelof always had to fight it up for that slot next to Maguire because he was Ollie's number one. But Ten Hag's number one is Martinez. No one else, Sandro Martinez. And Maguire and Varane have got to fight it out to play next to Martinez. And it was very obvious that Varane is going to beat Maguire if you're fighting out for a centre-back spot. Because although Maguire, I'd say, is better on the ball and maybe better in possession if you're playing possession football, defensively off the ball, Varane is miles clear of Maguire. And what have we been doing so well? Defending. We're doing a lot of defending at the moment. Ten Hag's kind of reminded me a little bit of what Arteta did at first when he didn't have the whole team to play the expansive attacking football he wanted to play. He played good defensive football. And that is what we've done by signing Sandro Martinez. And the funny thing is the board didn't think we needed a centre-back. And if, we had a manager in that was going to be a puppet like Pochettino, I don't think we would have signed a centre-back this summer. And I think we'd been starting with Maguire. But what I love about Ten Hag is he's come to United and he's made it so clear to the board, so clear to everyone that we're going to play the football that Erik Ten Hag wants to play. We're going to sign the players that Erik Ten Hag want to sign. Under Ollie, the board would sign kind of Ollie players. Ollie would say, I want a right back. The board would go, Wan-Bissaka. Ollie would be like, cool. Ollie would say, oh, I want Grealish. Now, Grealish is a bit expensive. Here's Donny van de Beek. Ollie would be like, cool. Ten Hag's attitude is, you sign who I want or no one at all. That is Ten Hag's whole attitude. And I think that is what I absolutely love about Ten Hag, really pushing for that as well. Someone said they like Garnacho. I think he could be a good replacement if a forward got injured. I'd like to see Garnacho play in the Europa League. Showcut Khan says he really does like Nkunku. Guys, what is the quality like? Is it lagging? Is the audio quality all right? Just let me know in the chat as well. Of course, do smash that like button and subscribe down below if you're new as well. McTominay still has more work to do. I do believe that we need a world-class striker that can finish Martial and Dupron, and Ronaldo will be going soon. Rashford, not it. I agree. McTominay's been very good. He's got work to do on the ball. I think we've got Casemiro, and Casemiro will be the one. But yeah, I think Casemiro is starting to play like Casemiro, not going for the man, just going for the ball. Casemiro was so good when he came on yesterday. I do want to get into the news, but I have to say, I was about to say to Sandro Martinez, I have to say I was so impressed by Casemiro for Manchester United. So impressed. When he, United were looking a little bit unstable, I think that's the best way to describe it. I think we just weren't, we stopped the first half versus Leicester was absolutely brilliant. I can't fault Man United in that first half versus Leicester. They were absolutely brilliant. But as the second half came on and all of that, United was starting to look a little bit unstable versus Leicester. And I thought, I could see Leicester maybe getting a goal. Leicester weren't good and we were defensively very sound. But in that second half, I thought, I could see maybe Leicester getting back into this game. I could maybe see Leicester stealing the goal. And then Casemiro came on. And I thought he was absolutely excellent for Manchester United. I think when Casemiro came on, he added that something that we just haven't had. That's something that we've just been crying out for. So, Casemiro, absolutely brilliant player. And for me, he's got to start versus Arsenal. And look, obviously, Ten Hag, once he didn't get De Jong, said Casemiro. He didn't want Rabiot. He didn't want any of this shit. Ten Hag was very much like, right, if you cannot get me the man I want, let's go and get Casemiro. But I want to get into the news. So obviously, as you can see on the screen, that basically the board didn't want to send back. Ten Hag did. But this is the interesting news that came out. This is the truth, and this is exactly what went down with Frenkie de Jong. And believe it or not, if he had gone to Chelsea, it would have been a disaster class because it would have been an error on United's hands. But the fact that de Jong didn't leave Barcelona, it's actually not Murtough's fault. Apparently, it came out, according to Samuel Lucas, who gets inside information, that Murtough had a verbal agreement with de Jong's agent, Ali Dursun, on a salary, and encouraging development suggested that de Jong was more receptive to joining Man United than his public promotions suggested. So they're coming out that de Jong did actually have this sort of verbal agreement with United. And we spoke about this all summer. The saga's over. I know you guys aren't interested in it. I'm not going to get too deep into the de Jong saga and all of that. But, obviously, I've always said this, that this whole report came out, I think it was by Paul Hurst, or maybe it was Samuel Lucas, I can't remember who, that did an insider that privately de Jong had told United wants to come, but publicly he's going to state he doesn't want to come to increase his chances of, getting his deferred wages from Barcelona. So the first thing Samuel Lucas said is that de Jong and his agent had a verbal agreement with Manchester United. But the reason the de Jong deal didn't go through is actually because of errors on Barcelona's side. It came out and it said that de Jong's deferred wages was an insoluble, I can't say that word because I can't pronounce it, stumbling block. And Murtough privately described Barcelona's behaviour as disgraceful. And reportedly, it was just the way Barcelona behaved that just kind of stopped the de Jong situation all going through. Obviously they weren't paying his wages. I think Barcelona, everything went Barcelona's way this transfer window, to be fair to them. Barcelona stole all these players off Chelsea. They got Rafinha, they got Lewandowski, they got to activate all their economic levers. Everything was going perfectly for Barcelona this window. The only thing they wanted to do was get rid of Depay, who they didn't get rid of, or did they? No, they didn't. Get rid of Aubameyang, who they did get rid of, and get rid of de Jong, and they didn't get rid of de Jong. And I think Barcelona knew United were desperate. And I think Barcelona knew that United were in the mud when we played Brentford. Saw we lost 4-0 to Brentford and thought they're fucking desperate. They'll play de Jong's wages. And I think what happened and what we've kind of been told happened is de Jong wanted to come to United. He'll say de Jong actually had an agreement privately that he wanted to come to United. De Jong wanted to join United. But Barcelona were going to pay de Jong the deferred wages. And then Barcelona, thought actually United will pay this. Barcelona were using Chelsea and basically using the media to pretend Chelsea were much closer to de Jong than they were, to try and scare United into paying de Jong's wages. And apparently de Jong to Chelsea was never even close. Apparently it was Barcelona media tactics, because Barcelona knew United were desperate for de Jong and thought we might cave in and pay de Jong's deferred wages. That was the situation. And I think it would have been embarrassing if we had played de Jong's deferred wages. But I think if that's who Ten Hag wants, it's what we needed to do. And I think when United realised that Barcelona were just going to mug them off and try and make them pay the deferred wages, I think that's when United went in for Casemiro. You could sit here and say, well, yeah, but Alice, why don't United just pay de Jong's deferred wages? This is who Ten Hag wanted. This was the player that Ten Hag wanted more than anyone. Why didn't we pay de Jong's deferred wages? And I don't know, maybe United didn't want to look like mugs. United are already known for being idiots in the transfer window. Maybe they didn't want to look even more like mugs as well. But Casemiro did take the pressure away from the defence, and Casemiro is a brilliant de Jong replacement. I want to get into the next story because basically, when Man United found out that de Jong was kind of off the books and de Jong wasn't going to happen, when Man United did go in for Rabiot, but Ten Hag wanted an out-and-out six to bolster the midfield. It was reported that Ten Hag was, when Man United suggested Casemiro. So when the de Jong situation a couple of weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, was they were going, look, this is not looking good, Ten Hag. What are we going to do about replacing de Jong? What are we going to do about this? When the whole de Jong situation was kind of bouncing about and all of that, reportedly, Man United basically gave out a list of targets to Ten Hag. And when they said, what about Casemiro, Ten Hag said yes. And Casemiro was the de Jong alternative Man United agreed on. And reportedly, once Casemiro was done, even if de Jong had going to become available, United weren't going to go back in for de Jong. I still think if de Jong had become available after signing Casemiro, because we knew how much ERIK Ten Hag wanted him, we should have gone back in for him. But I think it was very obvious as well with the money spent on Antony. As soon as we spent that money on Antony, I thought that's not happening with de Jong. And the thing is, The Cody Gakpo story's got very strong to United. Cody Gakpo was very seriously linked to United, and reportedly, and this is the next story I want to get into, is the board weren't going to spend the money on Antony. The board were putting in that 80 million euro bid for Antony, but they were not going to up that bid to 100 million euros. The board were very adamant that we will not give Ajax 100 million euros for Antony. The board were absolutely adamant on it, and that's why the Cody Gakpo news came out. And Cody Gakpo actually came out today and said he was expecting to be at United, and United were this close to signing Cody Gakpo. But Ten Hag said to the board and convinced them to not get the cheap return for Gakpo and just put it all into Antony, because Ten Hag believes in Antony. Antony's Ten Hag's player, and look, Antony's an absolute baller. We will talk about Antony and how good I believe Antony's going to be for United. I think, when we watched us versus Leicester, we were definitely missing a profile on the right hand side. I like Elanga, but he's just not ready yet. And I just think, imagine having Antony there instead of Elanga. Because what Elanga does and why Elanga plays is because basically Elanga will follow every instruction Ten Hag gives him. Elanga will do his bit for a team. Elanga will chat back. Elanga will do the teamwork. Elanga will follow the system. Elanga will do all of that as well. Yash says 3 points in the bag once Antony starts playing. Honestly, I cannot wait for Antony to be back. I cannot wait for Antony to be back as well. But carrying on. Why Ten Hag wanted Antony is because, he just fits. He would have just fit in perfectly. We could get De Jong and Gakpo in January. I highly doubt it as well. And if Barcelona's season in UCL doesn't start well, they'll probably look to sell players in January, says Diego. I do agree, you're spot on. Will Ronaldo play versus Arsenal? That is what we will talk about in just a second. But carrying on with Antony, Man United weren't going to go for Antony. Man United had no intention whatsoever of signing Antony. And this is what's just come out. United thought, no, we're not going to get Antony. Ten Hag literally convinced the board to get Antony. They were going in for Gakpo. Gakpo comes out today and said the move to United was this close. The board was preparing Gakpo. They were saying we're not spending more than 80 million euros in Antony. We had that 80 million or 85 million euro bid rejected for Antony. Ten Hag convinced the board to go and get Antony for 100 million euros. Ten Hag said to the Manchester United board, this is the player I want. Antony will work. No one else. Get me Antony. And Ten Hag convinced the board to overspend and get Antony. The only annoying thing is apparently our summer transfer budget will be less next summer because we spent more than intended. Fuck the Glazers. Smash that like button if you hate the Glazers. But why Antony will be so good at Man United? And Ten Hag said this today. Antony's been brilliant for Brazil. Antony's won trophies with Brazil. He won an Olympic gold medal. Antony in the Champions League has been brilliant for Ajax. Antony knows Ten Hag's system. Everything Elanga offers is knowing Ten Hag's system, doing the teamwork, doing the running. But Elanga's just not ready. Just doesn't have the ability. Antony on the ball is brilliant. Antony is top dribbler. He'll always get past his man. He can create chances. He can pass the ball. Antony has not only knowing Ten Hag's systems and following instructions, but Antony has all that ability that you're kind of missing in Elanga because he's not ready. And the difference between Antony and Elanga, guys, will be an absolutely massive difference. And you don't realise how much we were crying out for the actual Antony versus Leicester and how much better we'd look in attack. Because right now, if you talk about United, you go, United are very good defensively. United are absolutely solid defensively. This is their back four. This back four is solid. The midfield's doing okay. It's the attack where they lack. They can't score goals. They can't create chances. Who we just brought in, a winger that is known for creating chances in Antony, a top class winger, a winger in Ten Hag's system who played against, your Borussia Dortmunds, all these Champions League teams and was brilliant. I think he averaged a goal and assist every 80 minutes in the Champions League last season. He thrived in the Champions League in Ten Hag's system. Ten Hag more than believes he can thrive in the Premier League in Ten Hag's system. Antony's so popular in Brazil. He even starts over Rafinha a lot for Brazil. Neymar likes Antony. Neymar rates Antony. All the Brazilians and Antony linking up well. I think Antony will be an absolutely brilliant signing for United. And the thing is, the board were more than willing not to get Antony. And the board weren't going to get Antony. And Ten Hag fought with the board. I had a few arguments with the board, but he finally convinced the board to go on and make that move for Antony. And I think, for me, Antony will be a top signing. Make sure you smash that like button and do subscribe down below, guys, if you're new. We're so close to 50,000 subscribers, so every sub will mean a lot as well. I think a 4-2-3-1 with Antony won't work. Interesting comment. No, I think it will work, but I do think there could be it's about the front three working as well. De Jong would have added so much to this team. Off the ball, this is solid. If you're talking about Man United right now, you think Man United off the ball looking really good. I'm really impressed with what Man United are doing off the ball. I'm really impressed by the work that Man United are putting off the ball. But on the ball, Man United look bad. Man United look real bad on the ball, really lacking on the ball, really lacking passing the ball forward. And De Jong was that profile that we're completely missing. De Jong and Antony, if you look at the Leicester game, it was a good first half, an iffy second half. Casemiro comes on. I love Casemiro. Casemiro made such a good impact in the second half. Casemiro comes on. He really stabilises things out in that second half. Big up Casemiro. And you just look at Man United and you just think that second half, you know, it was just lacking that flary attack with a bit of pace, and it was lacking that ball carrying midfielder. I thought Eriksen was fantastic, but I thought if you added Antony and De Jong to this United side, this would be a real good side. And it's a shame that we didn't get De Jong. But to be fair to the United board, it wasn't even their fault. De Jong agreed to join Man United privately, and the board and Barcelona were just like, nah, you're not getting your wages. And this caused a big issue for Manchester United. Now, I do want to get into a story that's going to make you laugh, guys. I'm going to get something up on my screen, which I think is going to make a few of you laugh. It's a funny story about what came out. And Samuel Luckhurst said an agency source admitted they deal with many clubs who are quite clueless in the transfer market, but one that always stands out is United. And I thought this was quite funny. We will get into the news. I've got a really interesting story on what happened with James Garner behind the scenes. And actually, the club didn't even tell James Garner he was for sale. Apparently, James Garner found out on Twitter he was for sale. But we will continue with that. It came out that an agency source admitted the deal with many clubs were quite clueless, but United were the most of all. I mean, does this surprise you? No. This is why Barcelona were holding out on De Jong. Barcelona wanted to sell De Jong and get Bernardo Silva, but Barcelona were thinking that United were desperate and they would cave and pay De Jong's deferred wages. Barcelona used the media. Chelsea to De Jong wasn't close. De Jong wasn't even close to Chelsea. De Jong and his agent had a verbal agreement to join United, and De Jong had agreed on a wage to join Man United. That was how close De Jong to United was. And all this Chelsea stuff with De Jong was media spun things by Barcelona telling the journalists this to try and scare United. Because Barcelona's whole game plan with De Jong was, we're going to make United pay us deferred wages. United are desperate for this guy. United want this guy. And then when United pay the deferred wages, that's an extra 17 million on top of the 85 million euros they're giving us for De Jong. Then we can go and get Bernardo Silva. That was Barcelona's game plan. Sell De Jong, get a bit more money for De Jong because United are desperate and they'll pay De Jong's wages and get Bernardo Silva. But United didn't cave in and pay De Jong's deferred wages, which absolutely took Barcelona by some kind of shock here. And, they didn't get Bernardo Silva, so fuck you, Barcelona, fuck you. But I think because you hear stuff like this, that United are clueless, and you could see United losing 4-0 to Brentford, they just thought, what? And did you notice that as soon as we lost 4-0 to Brentford, the De Jong saga just stopped, and that was Casemiro. And that is because I think United knew what Barcelona were doing. I think United knew that Barcelona were playing them to try and pay De Jong's wages. And Barcelona were playing a poker game with United, and Barcelona thought United won't do that. They thought United won't go and buy someone else. They want De Jong. They only want De Jong. They will pay his wages. They will. We can get Bernardo Silva. We can sell De Jong, bish, bash, bosh. We sign Casemiro. We then spent 100 million on Antony, and Barcelona, oh, fuck, De Jong is staying. Luckily for Barcelona, they managed to activate their fourth lever so they could register Koundé. But I would have loved it if De Jong stayed at Barcelona and meant that they couldn't play their new signings. I would have absolutely loved it. But Barcelona are absolute scumbags as well. West Brom 1-0 down to Burnley as well, and Dortmund 1-0 up to Hoffenheim with the scores. Let me know your score prediction for the weekend games, guys. How are you feeling? I'm not going to lie, I'm not feeling the most positive as well. Against Arsenal, Casemiro, MURTOUGH, Eriksen up front, Antony, Rashford, Ronaldo, says Showcart Clan. I think we will see something like that. Tomorrow I will be live this time tomorrow, by the way, guys, for United versus Arsenal, because I hopefully will get some information about the leaked lineup or what the lineup could be tomorrow night. So we will discuss that all in tomorrow's live show. So do make sure you subscribe for tomorrow's live show. We will talk more about Arsenal as well. A lot of United fans are feeling confident that we're going to beat Arsenal. Guys, do you think we're going to get the win? Do you think we're going to get the win versus Arsenal? Let me know down below. Antony is all Alice keeps saying on stream. Please. Honestly, I love Antony, and I generally think Antony is going to be a top signing for United. I generally do. I mean, I really like Lisandro Martinez. I think he's been brilliant. The thing is, with Ajax players and with Eredivisie players, how impressed have you been with Malacia? Impressively impressed. Does that make sense? Probably not. 12 million quid for Malacia. I thought, who is this guy? Probably a backup for Luke Shaw. Nah, Malacia looking class. Okay? Martinez looking class. Eriksen is pivotal. He's looking class. Every single one of 10 old signings is looking class. Because this is the first window, and this is the first transfer window in 10 fucking years where Manchester United have listened to the manager. Man United were trying to not listen to Ten Hag, and I'm trying to discuss this. Man United were trying to sign this player, and Ten Hag said, no, I'm not letting you sign this player. Ten Hag wanted to sign this player, and Man United were like, no. Ten Hag and Man United, reportedly, and the board had a lot of disagreements because Ten Hag wanted to do things his way, the board wanted to do things their way. And Ten Hag probably said to the board, you failed in the transfer window the last 10 years because you haven't done what the manager wants you to do. Do what I want you to do. Ten Hag says publicly, I only want the players I want. Did Ollie want Wan-Bissaka? No, but the board said we scouted a right back for you. Do you want Wan-Bissaka? He went, sure. Ollie wanted Grealish. They said, oh, we can't give you Grealish. Here's Donny van der Beek, a Grealish replacement, a completely different player that Ollie didn't use. Ollie wanted Sancho. They said we could get this Amad Diallo guy, 38 million. Ollie said, yes. Ten Hag, when they started doing that with Ten Hag saying, won't get you Frenkie de Jong, but we can get you this midfielder. Ten Hag was like, fuck off. We can't get you Antony. We'll get you Turan. Ten Hag was like, no, Antony and only Antony is what Ten Hag said to the board. And that is why they got Antony. And as I said at the beginning of the video, the board, they didn't want to sign a Sandro Martinez. They didn't want to sign a centre-back. They said, United don't need a centre-back. And Ten Hag said, yes, we do. I want a centre-back. We're signing a centre-back. Ten Hag then got the board to go out and sign a centre-back. You have to respect it. They've listened to Ten Hag, and every single player that Ten Hag signed, for me, has been so impressive. Martinez, so far, has been the best. Lisandro Martinez, for me, these last 3 games has been a monster. Him and Varane look unstoppable. Our defence looks so good. They were good versus Liverpool. I think Arsenal's attack has been the best attack in the league in terms of that front four has been so good for Arsenal. I think that will be the real test. But I think the defence has been so good for United, and every single one of Erik ten Hag's signings is playing. Every single one of Erik ten Hag's signings is playing, and they're all looking good. Casemiro comes on, and he just changes the game versus Leicester, because Leicester are growing into that game. They're still going into that game. Casemiro comes on, and he's incredible. And this is why I'm so confident that Antony will succeed, because I just believe in Ten Hag. Ten Hag's watched Antony train every session for 2 years. Ten Hag's, Antony's been involved in every single one of Ten Hag's Ajax's games for 2 years. Ten Hag knows Antony so well. And my thought process is, if Ten Hag knows this Antony player so well, if Ten Hag knows this Antony player inside out and better than me, and Ten Hag is willing to go for Antony and no one else because he believes Antony is the guy, well, I believe in Ten Hag because I believe Ten Hag is the manager for United. And I know I'm bigging up Ten Hag a lot. I am bigging up Ten Hag a lot, but you know what I mean, guys. A lot of people saying United are going to win. Let me know if you think United are going to win down below, and let me know who you'd play. Man U fans said he played De Gea, Malacia, Martinez, Varane, Dalot, Fred, Casemiro, Rashford, Eriksen, Fernandes, Sancho, Ronaldo, and Antony in a 4-4-2. That I do quite like that lineup in a low-key way. And someone said 2-0 Ronaldo, 2 goals. For me, Ronaldo's a big game player. Ronaldo has to start versus Arsenal for me. Ronaldo always gets a goal versus Arsenal. Ronaldo is that kind of player where, Arsenal is the occasion for Ronaldo. And I will stick with it today. For me, Cristiano Ronaldo has to play for Manchester United tomorrow. He 100% has to play for Manchester United tomorrow. Because, not tomorrow, Sunday. Because I like Elanga. But Ronaldo came on and he was really good. Ronaldo as a sub was really good versus Leicester. Unlucky not to get an assist. Ronaldo centre, Antony on the right, Rashford or Sancho on the left. I think Sancho adds that blistering pace if we want to get Arsenal on the counter-attack. And Ben White playing right back out of position with a little bit of lack of pace. I think I think Rashford could cause Arsenal more problems on that left-hand side. I don't care if it's Sancho or Rashford. I think that Sancho has been very good as well. But I think Antony could slot right in and play right winger. And I want to see Casemiro start. But for me, I thought McTominay has been very, very good. And credit where credit is due. McTominay did impress me. But Casemiro's got to come in for McTominay in a game like Arsenal. And Antony, for me, should come and start on the right wing. And Ronaldo should start up top. And remember, Arsenal didn't sign a midfielder. Arsenal don't have Thomas Partey. Now, Thomas Partey, who shouldn't really be playing for Arsenal anyway, because, some clubs put football above morals. But we don't, we won't get into that. Thomas Partey is injured. And Thomas Partey is one of Arsenal's most important players, one of Arsenal's most crucial players. But Thomas Partey will not be involved tomorrow, which for me, Sunday. Why do I keep fucking saying tomorrow? I don't know. I feel like it's tomorrow. It's Sunday. Thomas Partey won't be playing. El Neni won't be playing. So it will be, would it be the Fabio Vieira guy? It might be their new signing. It will be Xhaka. Xhaka will play, so hopefully he'll get sent off because he always does. And then it will be that not Tavares, Lokonga. So as good as Arsenal's been, and as good as they were versus Villa, they don't have the greatest midfield. we were lucky versus Liverpool because when we played Liverpool could have only had their shit midfield fit, and Arsenal only have their shit midfield fit. So I'm not 100% confident because Arsenal moved the ball around very quickly and we'll be playing with a lot of confidence. But Arsenal have been very good up front and we've been very good defensively. So I think our defence can deal with Arsenal. I think that Arsenal's midfield is weak, and I think, you know, if we're going to the Emirates, I think we'd lose. But because we're at Old Trafford, I think we'll win. I think we'll beat Arsenal tomorrow if we play Casemiro and if we play Ronaldo Sunday. Fucking Sunday. The game is Sunday. I think we'll beat Arsenal Sunday purely because Thomas Partey and El Neni are out injured and Arsenal don't have a DM. And us as United fans will know more than any other fan base how important a bloody DM is at the club, because a DM makes all the difference. I mean, Scott McTominay, as soon as we signed a DM, Scott McTominay started playing like a DM. Absolutely madness. But everyone knows that a DM just makes such a crazy big difference to every single football club. Like, Casemiro comes on versus Leicester, and the balance that was added was just mad. Someone says 0-0. Could Arsenal part? I don't think Arsenal will come and park the bus. In the past, Arteta's come and park the bus at Old Trafford, and it's sometimes worked for them. But I think that there will be goals because I think Arsenal are confident in themselves and Arsenal want to win and say, oh, see, we can beat a big team. So I think that United are going to win the game 2-0, and I think we're going to keep a clean sheet, and I think we're going to be the first team to stop Arsenal scoring. Alice, I have a question to you. Do you think Ronaldo will start and score versus Arsenal on Sunday? Yes, and yes. And I say yes because I really hope so as well. And let's go for 200 likes, guys. So do smash that like button as well. I hope Maguire doesn't start. Maguire won't start, but he will start next Thursday. So I've been told, unless Varane gets injured or Martinez gets injured, I've been told Maguire will not start versus Arsenal. But Maguire and Luke Shaw are set to go back into the team for Martinez and Malacia for the Europa League game. Donny, Fred, Maguire and Luke Shaw, who are regulars, who haven't had much minutes yet this season, are set to start in the Europa League game, but they will not be starting versus Arsenal, I believe, and I will get an idea of what the lineup is tomorrow. I can only tell you what Ten Hag said and what the journalists have said now, but tomorrow I'll see if I can get some information on what the team can be. But I get the sole impression that it will be an unchanged back five versus Arsenal. I think Casemiro will come in. I think either McTominay or Eriksen will be dropped. I think Eriksen needs a rest, but I think it will more likely be McTominay dropped because Eriksen is very pivotal to Ten Hag's way. I think Bruno will be the 10. I think Antony will be an impact sub with Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left, and Ronaldo up top. But I will have to wait until tomorrow because sometimes you can get some leaks out the night before a game. Because this time tomorrow, Ten Hag will have told the squad his lineup. So if we do get some leaks about the lineup tomorrow, I will let you know. But that would personally be sort of my prediction as well. And but yeah, I mean, I'm super excited for Arsenal. It sounds weird. 2 weeks ago, Man United were at the bottom of the league, and you're thinking this is the be-all and end-all for United. We're bottom of the league. We're absolutely fucked. And now we're fifth. We're above Chelsea and we're above Liverpool. If you'd have told me 2 weeks ago, in 2 weeks we'll be above Liverpool and above Chelsea, just after we'd lost, 4-0 to Brentford, I would have been like, what? Like, what? If someone had, I would honestly, when we lost 4-0 to Brentford, I thought, this is it. We're coming 10th. This is it. We're having an awful season. And something's happened, and I talked about it in my video earlier. Something has happened in this last few weeks where Ten Hag's completely changed the mentality of the United squad. I said this in my video earlier, guys, but the love the Man United squad is showing, like, you got Antony here, Antony in training, and look, everyone just looks so happy. But the Man United squad morale has completely changed in 2 weeks. It's not that we're winning games, but the big difference between Brentford and Liverpool and Leicester and Southampton, the big difference was the way the team were fighting. Brighton, they came out, Man United, oh, we're 2-0 down to Brighton. Oh, no. That's what we're doing versus Brighton. And then we come out, and we go 4-0 down to Brentford, and you could look, you're just looking at the body language. You look to the body language of the United players on the pitch versus Brentford, and you could tell these players were giving up. These players were giving up versus Brentford. You play for Man United. You're meant to be wearing the Man United badge. And the body language of some of the players versus Brentford, they'd absolutely given up. They were depressed. It looked like they didn't want to be here. 2 weeks ago, we're rock bottom of the league, 20th. I'm thinking, this is a shit show. 20th, 4-0 to Brentford. Look at their players. They're not trying. They didn't even go and clap the fans. And in the space of 2 weeks, look at the morale on the pitch. Everyone seems to be happy. Antony's here in training, but you see Lisandro Martinez going on Instagram and saying to Varane, what a pleasure it's to play with you, Rafael Varane. everyone is bonding. You're seeing all these videos of the players getting along, laughing, Ronaldo laughing and happy with the players. All these leaks coming out saying Ronaldo's miserable, Ronaldo wants to leave, Ronaldo's eating lunch alone in the canteen. All these leaks coming out. Negativity FC, the body language of the players was miserable. And Ten Hag, after the Brentford loss, this is what Ten Hag did, and I spoke about this in my video earlier. After the Brentford loss, Ten Hag took these Man United players and he said to these Man United players, what's your problem? Why have we lost Arnold to Brentford? What do you think is going wrong? Ten Hag had a meeting the day after Brentford. Ten Hag had a 2-hour meeting with the Man United squad. He said, what is going on? What is the issue to these players? Asking them their thoughts. And some of the players were saying this and that and this and that and this and that. And Ten Hag then said, now you've said your thoughts, I'm saying mine. I am the manager. I am in charge. I have the full backing of the board. If you do not believe in me or my plan, or you do not want to be here, raise your hand so you can leave. And Ten Hag said, if you don't want to be here, I'll make sure you can leave this club. I'll make sure there's a transfer sorted out for you. You can go. And he said to the players, you've got an opportunity to tell me if you want to be here and play under me. And Ten Hag said to the players, if you want to play under me, you've got to work hard. You've got to run for the badge. You've got to work hard. You've got to give it your all. And Ten Hag had this big meeting, let the players say their issues, tell them what he thought, said it's his way or the highway, had a 2-hour showdown with the player, and he got his authority. And then, obviously, we know about this big 14-kilometre run that Ten Hag got the players to do, 13.8 kilometres to be specific. And he said to the players, Brentford, he said, when they lost under Rangnick gave them a day off. Rangnick was like, I'm not dealing with this shit. It's too toxic. Rangnick gave these players a day off. Ten Hag said to the United players, you've lost 4-0 to Brentford. You ain't having a fucking day off. Come into training tomorrow. And Ten Hag said, Brentford, they ran 13.8 kilometres further than Manchester United. That is unacceptable. And Ten Hag made them run 13.8 kilometres in the 30-degree heat. But the best bit about it was Ten Hag ran it with them. Ten Hag did the run with the players because he said, I'm going to let you know that I'm not blaming you completely for the loss. I'm blaming myself as well. My tactics weren't right. And the whole morale changed after that, because when the Man United players saw Ten Hag taking accountability for the loss and saying he's to blame as well as them, they gained so much respect for Ten Hag. There's 2 things about kind of player attitude: is 1, how they feel about the manager, and 2, work rate. And Ten Hag's done job 1. He's gained the respect of the players by doing that run with them, asserting his authority, and getting them to believe in him. Ten Hag's gained the respect of the players, and when the manager gains the respect of the players, the players will always look better on the pitch. But the second thing Ten Hag did was he laid down on them. He made sure that it was about fighting for each other, team spirit, work rate. And one of the reasons we signed CASEMIRO, and the reason we signed the Sandro Martinez, and the reason Ten Hag signed Antony is because he knows them. He knows they're fighting players. He knows they're players that fight on the pitch. They will give it their all. It doesn't matter if they're injured. They'll be giving it all. They won't stop. The Sandro Martinez is an absolute warrior. The way he gets stuck in the first few minutes versus Liverpool, getting right stuck into Salah. That is what the Sandro Martinez brings. CASEMIRO is a warrior. You know what CASEMIRO brings. Antony said it in his interview. Antony did an amazing first interview for United saying, I'm so happy to be at Man United. I'm going to give it my all for Manchester United. Antony's first interview for Manchester United was absolutely incredible. And how Ten Hag completely changed sort of the squad morale and it all around in the last week is he's basically made sure that the players have got respect by saying he's going to take accountability for the loss as well. But Ten Hag's also got the players working hard, got them happy. He sorted out the dressing room. And, look at the body language versus Brentford and look at the body language versus Leicester. Dalot, Martinez and Varane are celebrating, blocking a cross and it going out for a goal kick like they've won the league. But, did you see the passion in Dalot when he blocks that cross and the togetherness with the defence? The defence was all hugging afterwards on Instagram, sending love. All hugging. You saw Dalot celebrate and the defence celebrate, just like blocking that cross. You saw this passion and just fighting spirit completely on the pitch in that game, and it was incredible to watch. And then you looked at Brentford, and we went 1-0 down to Brentford, and they were all walking and they slugged their shoulders like this and thought, I give up now. In the space of 2 weeks, we've gone from give up FC to fucking out fighting and putting our bodies on the line. And Ten Hag's done that in 2 weeks. I just think that is incredible. And I think if we go into Arsenal with that same old fighting spirit and with how good the defence has been and with Arsenal having a few players out with injuries and the likes of Antony coming in to bolster that attack, where I think the only weak point in the last 3 games has been creating chances in attack, and that's what Antony brings. I just have this overwhelming confidence for Arsenal. And You know, it's only been 3 games, you can say, and you can say, Alice, you're getting carried away. If I have something to be positive about United, I will be positive. I love trying to look at the best in things and being positive. I hate it because I feel like this channel has been so negative for so long because, you know, I'm obviously going to be negative because I'm going to be like, I know the board, I know the owners. But it's the body language and everything they gave on the pitch and the togetherness. And I'll tell you another big part of that. Favourites FC has ended. One of the reasons behind the dressing room leaks and one of the reasons behind a lot of issues on the pitch for Manchester United was Favourites FC. Favourites FC, and people don't realise this, caused so many problems for Manchester United. When you actually look into the dressing room leaks and when you actually deep the dressing room leaks that came out last season, a lot of it was them saying this player's the problem, this player's the problem. A lot of it was this player shouldn't be starting, this player shouldn't be starting. Bailly's upset. He can't understand why Maguire's playing even though Bailly's fully fit. This player, you know, when you look at the dressing rooms, a lot of the reason the players turned on Ollie, and I'm not saying this is acceptable from the players to leak or anything like that, but the main reason the players turned on Ollie was because he would play the same 11 that were underperforming. Your Bailly's, your Donnies, even your Amad Diallo's, even Diego Dalot, who's been absolutely fantastic under Ten Hag. How brilliant has Diego Dalot been? But all these players never got a sniff under Ollie. Wan-Bissaka, awful, never got a sniff. Luke Shaw, awful. I mean, Tellers wasn't much better, but still never got a sniff. Maguire was fucking dreadful. Then we rush him back from injury. We play Leicester. We lose 4-2 to Leicester because Maguire's injured and at fault for 3 of the 4 goals. Bailly can't get sniffed. Donny van de Beek, Fred was dreadful last season. Absolutely dreadful. Fred got a lot better towards the end of the season when Rangnick came in. Donny didn't even get a chance. And Lingard was promised by, and Ollie lied. Ollie said to Lingard, if you stay at Manchester United, I'll play you. Did he play him? No. And look, Lingard was one of the leakers, you have to say Lingard was so good at West Ham. Had everything ahead of him, could have gone to West Ham, could have been a brilliant player. Ollie said, "Stay, I'll play you." Lingard supports United, has his house in United. I think it's easy with his kid in, being in Cheshire, being up north. Lingard was like, "Okay, I'm going to play. I've earned my spot back in United because how good I was at West Ham alone." Man United were dreadful and Lingard didn't play, and were dreadful and Lingard didn't play. And I know Lingard wasn't good, but when you think of how bad Bruno was, maybe Lingard should have been given a chance. And that is what caused all the dressing room issues. All these players, all this favourite FC, it caused so many dressing room issues at Manchester United, so many issues. And that started the leaks and that started the dressing room divide because I don't know if there's still a divide in the dressing room. I don't think so. You can tell by the body language of the players and all of that. And you can tell completely. But last season there was sort of a Portuguese-speaking camp, and it was a Portuguese-French-speaking camp. So your Ronaldos, your Varans, your Delos, your Brunos, your Freds was one side, and then you had your English-speaking camp, your Maguires, your Wan-Bissakas, your Luke Shaws, the other side. And there was a dressing room divide, and there was the favourites FC in the leaks, and this big issue in the dressing room. And Ten Hag has come in, and he sorted out that dressing room divide. Ten Hag came in, and what did Ten Hag do on his first week at United? Remember, I spoke about this in a video. He made a list of rules. Ten Hag made a very strict list of rules to the players. You can't be late. You can't be late for training. You can't be late for meetings. There will be punishments. Was it Garnacho that was late for two of the pre-season meetings? Never got sniffed in pre-season. That laid it down. Ten Hag said, if I find out any of you, this point to the players, any of you are responsible for dressing room leaks, you're exiled from the squad. If you leak stuff now and you get caught, Ten Hag said, you're exiled from Manchester United. And what Ten Hag said, he said, Maguire, you're going to stay as captain because I believe in you. But if you are poor, you don't start. Ronaldo and Maguire, the big names. Ronaldo and Maguire, the two heads of the so-called, let's say, cliques last season. There was 2 cliques in the dressing room last season, the Maguire clique and the Ronaldo clique. There was a big issue about who should be in charge. Half the players for Team Ronaldo saying he should be in charge and had basically ignored Maguire and had turned on Maguire and said he shouldn't be captain. And there was this whole new kind of clique. And then there was the players that were backing Maguire. And Ten Hag had to solve this issue in the dressing room. Ten Hag, went on tour. I think Ten Hag had to solve this issue in the dressing room. I think he said, put it behind you. I don't want beef. If I want beef, you're dropped. But what has Ten Hag done? We lost 4-0 to Brentford. And rather doing what Ollie and Rangnick would have done and probably dropped, maybe, Fred McTominay, which, Ten Hag did do. And maybe they would have played some not dropped Ronaldo or Maguire, but maybe would have dropped Rashford for Elanga instead. Ten Hag went, I'm going to drop the big names. I'm going to drop the Ronaldos. I'm going to drop the Maguires. I'm going to put them right on the bench, Ten Hag did. And that sent a message to the squad. The 3 almost untouchable people under Ollie Ronaldo, Maguire and Luke Shaw were the 3 people dropped after Brentford. And that sent a message to the players of, this manager is ending Favourites FC. And you're not only just Ten Hag doing the 14-kilometre run, but the players earn the respect. But then the players see the big names are getting dropped. The big names at United are getting dropped. And that sends like a big message. That sends a message to everyone like, he's dropping the big names. There's no power in this dressing room anymore. Because there was power, and there was power issues between Ronaldo and Maguire in the dressing room last season. Not all the leaked reports are true. We all know that. But all the leaked reports have one thing in common. This Ronaldo-Maguire power divide seemed to be a big thing. And the 2 players that had, I'd say, the most power in the dressing room were getting dropped, which kind of, in a weird way, makes them powerless, as you'd say. And Ten Hag kind of took this power in the dressing room, kind of brought the dressing room together, but he's also gained the respect of the players. And Ten Hag, and I said this in my video earlier, Ten Hag's first request when he arrived at Man United was to have a window in his door. That was Ten Hag's first request in his office door. He had a window. And Ten Hag said he wants to have a window in the door of his office so everybody can see how many hours he spends in his office and how hard he's working. And so Ten Hag requested to have this window in his office built in at United. And Ten Hag is a manager known on hard work. Your Daily Blins, your Donny van de Beeks, they spoke about, how hard Ten Hag, worked and how it's going to be different at United. And Ten Hag is gaining the respect of the players by taking accountability for the loss with them, training with them, doing the 14-kilometre run with them. Ten Hag is getting the respect of the players and actually stopping the power divides in the dressing room by dropping the big names and saying, no, you're rewarded on form, which again is gained the respect of the players. One of the biggest things Ten Hag has done, and for me, one of the most important things Ten Hag's done, is he's rubbing off his winning, hard-working mentality on Manchester United. I think the signings of Lisandro Martinez, Antony and Casemiro will have a positive impact on that because, and Ten Hag said this in his press conference, Man United were lacking them personalities. Man United were lacking them mentalities. Lisandro Martinez is the butcher. He's the warrior. He gets stuck in. Those kind of attitudes Ten Hag wants. Ten Hag wants players who are going to get right stuck in with their claws at Manchester United and give it the rule. Casemiro comes and he is the warrior. I mean, I said this earlier. Casemiro was so good versus Leicester defensively. He gave us that balance because Leicester were growing into the game. Casemiro comes on. They don't get a sniff. They don't get a sniff of that ball. We were so good defensively. Antony obviously is coming to United. I did a video on Antony's interview. In Antony's interview about coming to United, he said, oh, it's my dream to play for Man United. I can't wait to get stuck in to Manchester United. Antony said, I'm going to give it 100%. I'm desperate to be here. I'm desperate to be at Manchester United. And this is what Antony says. As Diego says, guys, we've got 420 people watching, so please do smash that like button. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more. Lisandro Martinez is a beast. Martinez versus Haaland. Martinez had Haaland in his pocket in the Champions League. People saying, how's Martinez going to deal with Haaland? He dealt with him in the Champions League as well. Maguire was good at making De Gea man of the match in many games as well. But going back into Ten Hag, and I know I've been going on for ages, and I will get into some of the live chats, and I do want your thoughts on this as well. But Ten Hag has brought in players that he knows has got this sort of fighting spirit. He knows he's got this fighting mentality. Lisandro Martinez, Casemiro, they're warriors. Antony's a hard worker. Antony's had it hard in Brazil where Antony said in his interview, when he grew up, he'd come back from school not knowing if he was going to get food or not. The kind of life Antony's had is he doesn't know if he's going to get food or not. Ten Hag has got these 3 players with this kind of fighting attitude, this kind of fighting spirit, and brought them to Manchester United, and that will rub off on the team. We've had a lot of mentality issues. We've had a lot of issues with dressing rooms, but we went from Brentford, and this is back to the beginning. Brentford, we're on the pitch. All the United players seem to have given up in that first half. We go 1-0 down to Brentford, and it was just the way their shoulders dropped and the body language of the United players. There was no leader on that pitch. Despite captain Harry Maguire playing versus Brentford, there was no leader. There was no captain. There was no one leading really by example on that pitch versus Brentford. No one looking really good. No one like, oof. There was just so much missing on that pitch versus Brentford. So much missing. And then in the space of a week, we go and play Liverpool. And it was like a completely different team. And you think, in a week, just a few substitutions in a week with the manager, and the body language of the players had changed. They were fighting, they were running, they were chasing the second balls. Instead of being outrun by 13.8 kilometres, we outran Liverpool by quite a few kilometres. And it was very obvious when we lost 4-0 to Brentford that there was a problem. And the problem was not, Man United should be beating Brentford. Even though that team versus Brentford wasn't a good team, Man United should be beating Brentford. And anyone with a brain will tell you Man United should be beating Brentford. But one of the more important things to me was when you lose 4-0 to Brentford, you know it's a mentality issue. When that team was 4-0 to Brentford, you go, is that team bad enough to lose 4-0 to Brentford? No. The fact that that team lost 4-0 to Brentford, right there and then, you just knew, okay, this is a mentality issue. This is an issue with the mentalities at United. They ran 13.8 kilometres further than us. It's obvious players aren't trying. And Ten Hag will know that. And Ten Hag knew they run 13.8 kilometres further than us. His players haven't got the attitude. His players haven't got the work rate. And Ten Hag knew the biggest issue with his Man United players wasn't the ability, it was the work rate, it was the attitude. And that's what he's been working on the last week. And that's where versus Liverpool, he came out as a completely different side because he was like, I'm going to pick an 11 that will follow my instructions and fight every last minute on the pitch. Diego Dalot, as I said, versus Leicester. And I thought it was brilliant. I keep going back to it. The way Diego Dalot celebrated, just blocking across Diego Dalot, Lisandro Martinez and Varane, all hugging each other, just that keeping that clean sheet for that defence, they were celebrating like a trophy. You could tell it meant so much to them. And we're building character. You know, I don't want to go in on Maguire, and I have to say, Ten Hag said a few things about Maguire and Varane and seems to have gone in on Maguire. But Maguire hadn't shown any leadership this season. There was no togetherness when Maguire was in defence. Varane comes in and Varane kind of leads this defence at Manchester United. But I felt that Maguire, I don't want to go in on Maguire because I feel like Maguire is the hate target of Man United. But when Maguire was playing, there was no leadership in the defence. He wasn't bringing anything to the defence. The defence wasn't being controlled. The difference between Maguire and Varane off the ball is astronomical. Maguire is better on the ball than Varane. Maguire is a better passer than Varane. But every other aspect, Varane is better. Varane works better with Martinez. Varane works better with Dalot. Varane brought that defence together. Versus Brentford, versus Brighton, it just looked like four individual defenders that had never played together. And bear in mind, Varane and Martinez had never played together. But Varane slots in, and with Varane's leadership skills, with Varane's experience, he made that defence look like a defence that had played together for ages. How good Man United have been. I don't think we've been brilliant versus Leicester. I don't think we've been brilliant versus Southampton. I think they have been scrappy wins. But what I'm saying is how good Man United have been off the ball, how good they've been working together. Varane is the key impact on that. The impact Varane has had, I think, is absolutely crazy because he's brought this team together. This United side, you know, the defence just has this whole new leader in it. And for me, Harry Maguire's never been a captain. Everyone knows Harry Maguire's never been a captain. But, you know, I think what Rafael Varane adds is just mad. And Ten Hag said this. Ten Hag feels that Rafael Varane understands zonal marking when he needs to switch from zonal to man marking or emergency defending. He also feels like Varane is excellent at stepping into the midfield with the ball playing and progressive passing. And Ten Hag's been talking about how he really rates Varane out a lot. And I think that is a clear sign that, you know, Ten Hag isn't that impressed with Maguire. It's very obvious that Ten Hag right now, he gave Maguire captaincy. He said that, you know, I've seen Maguire. This is what happened with Ten Hag. Ten Hag seen Maguire play at the World Cup. He said, well, you know, he knows there's a decent player in Maguire because look, Maguire has had good games for United. So he gives Maguire captaincy. He goes, I'm going to continue with Maguire. I'm not going to change captaincy. I'm not going to make any drastic differences. But if Maguire's poor, I'm going to drop him. La-di-la-di-la. Maguire starts playing poor. Obviously, Ten Hag does go and drop Maguire. But Ten Hag did put a bit of, you know, faith in Maguire. And he just thought he was poor. And he just thought, well, I've got to play Rafael Varane. And what's coming out about how Ten Hag feels about Rafael Varane is it's very obvious that Ten Hag's probably not been most impressed by Harry Maguire this season. I think Ten Hag's talking about how good Varane is and what Varane adds. And I think, for me, the one biggest difference, and I hate saying this because I think it's such an obvious all-United trend to just jump on, Maguire drops for we won. And my biggest hate is when Man United win a game and they'll say, oh, we won because Maguire was dropped. Oh, we won because Bruno was dropped. Oh, we won because Rashford was dropped. And last season I said this. I said, we lost 4-0 with Varane and Lindelof. Maguire didn't play. You know, we dropped McTominay, we lost 4-0 to Brentford. We dropped Maguire, we lost 4-0 to Brighton. You know, my biggest ick in a sense is when we drop one player and everybody says, oh, I told you if we drop this player, we'd be good. And then we'll drop, and then after, but for me, dropping one player never makes a difference. But I will say with Maguire, it's because of Varane. Varane is just such an improvement on Maguire. Maguire to Varane is like going from Antony Elanga to Antony. I think Antony Elanga, he works hard, he listens to Ten Hag's instructions, but I think once Antony starts playing there instead of Elanga, I think we'll be saying, the difference that Antony makes is a load. And I think the difference between Varane and Maguire is so much. And I've always been against people saying, oh, we won because Ronaldo was dropped. Oh, we won because Maguire was dropped. But I think we're winning and keeping clean sheets because Maguire has been dropped. And I will say that now. And I've never been a fan of people saying, oh, we won because we dropped that one player. Because we've dropped McTominay, we've had a good game. Then we drop McTominay, we lose 4-0 to Brentford. We drop Maguire, we have a good game. Then we drop Maguire last season and lost 4-0 to Brighton. But I will say, I think Raphael Varane for Maguire has been a massive improvement. I just think Varane brings that together. Doesn't Diego Dalot look a lot better next to Varane, a lot happier playing next to Varane? Diego Dalot, when he's next to Maguire, seems to be worried about where he's positioning. I think Varane's experience is telling Dalot, oh, you should be positioned here. And Varane's experience is telling Dalot, you should be positioned here. And for me, Diego Dalot looks like a completely new player next to Varane, whereas next to Maguire, he looks lost. Lisandro Martinez looks a lot more comfortable next to Varane. And you could tell Lisandro Martinez probably prefers playing next to Varane, because I think the funniest thing to me was Lisandro Martinez going on Instagram saying, oh, how much a pleasure it is to play with Varane. You know, and Malacia, I think, is definitely helping because Luke Shaw's been poor. I've always been a bit of a Luke Shaw fan, but I think he's been really poor. But I just think Varane has made such a difference. And I think McTominay, and I will give him credit, has been good these last few games. The difference Varane has made on Maguire, I think, has been a substantial, very, very massive difference. I think Casemiro will make a big difference on McTominay, and he's making McTominay actually play well now, which is brilliant. But I think also bringing in Antony, going from Elanga to going to Antony, I think will be a big, big difference as well that a lot of people won't realise. And I'm really, really excited, guys, to see what the squad will do. I still think we're missing a profile in midfield, and I hope we sign someone in January. But I'll tell you this now, I'm 99% certain Man United will not sign anyone in January because they're complaining that they overspent this summer. United board are already coming out saying we've overspent this summer, blah, 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 blah. Unless we're having an absolute shit show come January or a mad injury crisis, I don't think we're buying anyone in January. We didn't buy anyone last January. Man United do not like January signings unless they have to do it. Ragnick suggested Julian Alvarez 16 million. Look how good he is at City. The board, 16 million, don't do that. We were crying out for a CDM last January. Kamara, 10 million. Sakari, who's just gone to Chelsea, the board were like, no. I don't think we'll sign anyone in January, but there are reports of De Jong in January. I just want to say, guys, if you are watching and you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. It would be really, really appreciated if you do subscribe to the channel as well, as I go live every single evening on the channel, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates, and more. I'm trying to find the pictures of Antony in training as well. We've got Ronaldo in training. We've got Casemiro and that's Ronaldo. Sorry, we've got Ronaldo in training here. But make sure you subscribe because we're so close to 50,000 subscribers. I think we're 380 subscribers away from 50k. So I'm hoping to hit it by the end of the week. So if we can hit it out during the Arsenal game, would be mad crazy. But obviously the lovely pictures of the boy Antony out in training is out. I wanted to get into the Antony pictures as well. Alvarez doing good, 2 goals versus City. The main problem with Maguire is showing zero accountability and lack of respect for teammates. The one thing that really irritated me about Maguire is I do think there's a decent player in Maguire. I don't think Maguire is as bad as he's made out to be. I think Maguire is a scapegoat. Maguire shouldn't be starting on his form, 100%. I'm glad he's dropped. But my biggest issue with Maguire was he's just never been a leader. He's never been a captain. He's never had that mentality. The man's been relegated 4 times and won nothing. He doesn't have that leader in him. Martinez has it in him. Casemiro has it in him. Bruno has it in him, even though Bruno's been crap, but a bit better lady Bruno. Ronaldo has it in him. Maguire's never had that thing in him where, oh, you're captain material. He's never had it in him. And the most annoying thing for me was Maguire did an interview, probably March last season, after we just got battered 4-0 for Liverpool. We conceded 4 goals to Watford, City, Liverpool, all of these teams. And Maguire does an interview and goes, instead of saying, yeah, we've underperformed this season, we've been poor. Because this was our worst ever season in the Premier League. It's our worst ever Premier League season last year. And Maguire doesn't come out and go, yeah, we've been poor and awful. Maguire goes, I think the criticism of me is unfair. If I had been that bad, I wouldn't be starting each week. Maguire in an interview, the captain of United, in the midst of our worst ever season, says in that interview, if I'd have been that bad, I wouldn't be starting. And I just remember thinking, you are captain of United. We've had our worst season ever, and you're not taking any accountability for that. And that was what really annoyed me about Maguire. I said, you cannot be captain if you think this kind of form is acceptable and you're not going to take some blame for it yourself. Roy Keane as captain would not be letting that stuff happen. He'd be livid. Roy Keane would have probably got a shotgun out and shot half his teammates if we were playing as bad as we were in the last season in the Roy Keane era. It would have gone mental. he would have gone, this is awful, we've been crap. He would have said, we all need to take some accountability. Roy Keane would have been fuming at himself. Maguire kind of sat there for, it's not really my fault, is it? It's not really my fault, but yeah, no, it weren't great, wasn't it? Yeah, but I'm playing week in, week out, so I can't be that bad. And what that says to me is, did players like Luke Shaw, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, and Marcus Rashford last season, who were god awful last season, absolutely rubbish last season, did they think they were all right because they were starting? Maguire said, I can't have been that bad if I'm still getting picked. So yeah, but Luke Shaw was still getting picked. You were still getting picked. Wan-Bissaka was still getting picked. Bruno was still getting picked. Rashford was getting picked. They were all poor. Did the Man United players think that because they were still getting picked after being awful and losing games that they weren't that bad? Is that what the Man United players really thought? Because no wonder we were crap last season if you think, oh, if I'm playing, I can't be the problem. Because every single player on the pitch last season was a problem at United. Every single player on the pitch last season was a problem. And the thing that irritated me was only three players last season took accountability. David De Gea came out and said, when he was crap, look, it's my fault. Ronaldo came out and when he ended bad games said, look, it's my fault, we lost. Ronaldo, for certain games, De Gea and Ronaldo came out and said, it's my fault, we lost. And De Gea and Ronaldo were our two best players last season. And the third was Scott McTominay. He took some credit. Those were the only three players that actually took accountability last season and said, it was my fault. Every other player at Man United was going, we've got to do better. Not I've got to do better, we've got to do better. Maguire going, well, I'm still getting picked, so I can't be the problem. Everyone else has got to do better. No, you're crap as well. Just because you're getting picked doesn't mean you're any less crap than everyone else. And that's what annoyed me. And what I loved about Ten Hag was he was making sure that every single player on that pitch versus Brentford knew, do not blame Ronaldo. Do not blame Maguire. Do not be doing your leak saying this is the problem, this is the problem. Ten Hag after Brentford said to his players, we're all at fault. It's a team game. And the fact, and I will come back to this, the fact that Ten Hag did that 13.8 kilometre run with all the players and said, you're doing this run, but I'm going to do the run with you because I could have improved on my part and my tactics. The fact that Ten Hag took accountability and put some of the blame on himself for the 4-0 Brentford loss, got the respect of his teammates, but it also sent a message to the Man United players that the manager is taking accountability when we lose. Maybe you should, instead of blaming everyone else. Because if you lose 4-0 to Brentford and the player doesn't think it's their fault and they blame everyone else, how can that player improve? When you lose a team game, it's everyone's fault. 100% everyone's fault. First half play Eriksen, second half play Bruno. I did think Eriksen was getting a little bit tired towards the end of the Leicester game, and I don't know how Eriksen will be playing twice a week. I don't know. I mean, I think Ten Hag very much loves Eriksen. You can tell that Eriksen's very much in Ten Hag's plan, but it'll be interesting to see how Eriksen does twice a week as well. And it's bad show, no news. Roy Keane never shot anyone. Obviously, Roy Keane didn't shoot anyone. But I'm saying if we were as bad as we were last season in the Roy Keane era, I could imagine him getting shotgun out and going absolutely crazy as well. Guys, should we have a look at the league? Should we have a look at the Premier League, actually? Did I get that story up on my screen? Oh, I wanted to show you the training pictures. So, obviously, this is the training pictures. You've got your new boy, Casemiro, here in training. We've got pictures of, that's Mark Sherrado, very good up-and-coming right back. But the training pictures came out, and there is the Brazilian trio of Fred, Antony, and Casemiro. And I'm very happy to see the training pictures come out of Antony. Very nice to see the lovely old Antony in training here, isn't it? Absolutely lovely as well. What's Harry Maguire famous for? Scoring against Albania and doing a knee slide a couple of years. That was embarrassing. I don't think Maguire's a bad centre-back. We'll soon be very good for England. But Maguire does not have the mentality to be captain of Manchester United. And it doesn't take a genius to say that as well. Pasha says, well, I don't like with Shaw. It's his area is always so open. Opponent easily dancing and making crosses, diving into box. I agree. Luke Shaw needs to work on that. I think this Malaysia competition could get the best out of Luke Shaw again. We saw what Telles did to Luke Shaw for a season. Maybe Malaysia can kind of do the same as well. And Burnley defending for their lives in the Burnley game. Well, Man United were playing a bit like Burnley yesterday, although Company has got Burnley playing a bit more attacking football as well. Is Casemiro match fit? I think Casemiro is fit to play the full 90 minutes versus Arsenal. I think Casemiro and Ronaldo will start. I think I'll be very shocked if Ten Hag went with a completely unchanged 11 again. I know we've won 3 games in a row, and I'm all for don't change the 11 when we win. But Thursday, Sunday, you need to rest a few players. We've also got the Europa League coming up. I know that the Europa League coming up, but we do know that Maguire, Luke Shaw, Freds and Donnies will all play in the Europa League coming up. So maybe Ten Hag will play the same 11 versus Arsenal and go, well, they're going to get a rest in the Europa League game. But for me, I think at least one of Ronaldo or Casemiro has to start. I think you've got to at least make that one change to the 11, because I do think, yes, we've won 3 games in a row, and yes, we've defended brilliantly, but we only just beat Leicester, and we only just beat Southampton, and Arsenal are a lot better than Leicester and Southampton, and I do think we will struggle against Arsenal, because I still think it's brilliant as that team was out of possession. They weren't creating anything, and I think maybe you take Alanga off for Ronaldo, because I think Ronaldo came on, I thought it was really good linking up the play. Maybe you take Alanga off and give Antony his debut, but I think that I'd like to see Rashford on the wing, because I don't think Rashford is a striker. I'd like to see, obviously, everything happen. But for me, I'd like to see some changes versus Arsenal. And I believe we'll see 1 or 2, but not a lot of changes versus Arsenal. But I do know we're going to see a very heavily rotated team in the Europa League as well. Rashford's untouchable on Everton. I think a lot of people thought Rashford was crap yesterday, other than the assist. But Rashford did hold up the ball quite well. And what Rashford offers and what Rashford has is that blistering pace. Did you see the space Rashford was getting? If the balls were better, Rashford could have got a couple of goals. Rashford's getting the space that you see Mbappe getting in League One. Now, Rashford's not a striker. Rashford shouldn't be playing as a striker. But what Ten Hag probably sees in Rashford is, because Ten Hag didn't get that Frenkie de Jong ball-carrying profile midfielder, because we are at 1 or 2 signings short, Ten Hag wants a goalie and a Frenkie de Jong-like player, and Martial's not fit. Because Ten Hag can't exactly play the attacking football he wants to play, because he doesn't quite have the players for it yet. Ten Hag is playing a more defensive style of the football he's doing. So what he's doing is a little bit counter-attacky on the attack. And with Marcus Rashford, he thrives on counter-attack football, because Marcus Rashford is just so quick. He's just so quick. And I really do, and people will be shocked by this, I really do understand why Ten Hag will take a liking to someone like Marcus Rashford, because of his pace, because of the issues that Marcus Rashford can likely cause him behind. And I absolutely understand if Ten Hag was all for, Marcus Rashford. I could see, and I think Sancho's brilliant. I am the Sancho fan club. I think Sancho's miles better than Rashford, but I could see it being Martial, Rashford, and Antony as the front three. I think, because we're going to have to be a bit more defensive now, Rashford might play a bit more as well. Rashford should be on the wing, absolutely, absolutely. So if Rashford plays the way he has so far for the rest of the season, would you sell him next summer? It's interesting, because Rashford's had good games and bad games. If Rashford plays like he does versus Liverpool, absolutely keep him. But if Rashford played like he did in the first 2 games of the season, absolutely sell him as well. Rashford and Sancho striking a partnership. I can't wait to see Martial link up with that front three. I do like Ronaldo, and Ronaldo guarantees you goals, but there's something about Rashford and Martial. Every single one of Rashford's best games, Martial's been there. Rashford's played, half a game with Martial this season? That was the best half he played. Rashford is always a better player when Martial's on the pitch. 99% of Rashford's goals come from when Martial was on the pitch. There's something about Martial that brings out the best in Rashford, and hopefully Martial will be fit soon. Ten Hag said he doesn't know when Martial will be fit, which for me is really, really annoying, because we all want Martial fit, but I think Martial 100% brings out the best in Rashford, 100,000,000%. Guys, make sure you smash that like button if you haven't already, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, please do subscribe as well. Daniel said he thinks United are going to win 3-2. I want to actually have a look at this. I want to show you this, guys. The Premier League table. Let's have a look. If we beat Arsenal, we go 3 points off first. 3 points. Technically 4 points if City win their next game. But if we beat Arsenal, we'd be 12 points. We'd be sitting in third, 3 points off first at the weekend, depending what happens with City and Tottenham, of course. But Man United right now, as you can see, are 5th in the Premier League. Lol, we're above Liverpool. Where are Chelsea? 10th. But, just the other day we were there with little old Leicester. Leicester and Villa have been shite. Wolves have been unlucky in games. Leicester and Villa have been shite. But as you can see, West Ham have climbed up a bit as well. They were rock bottom of us as well. But as you can see, we are in 5th with Arsenal next. We win, we go on 12 points. Imagine when we just lost 4-1 to Brentford, saying in 3 weeks you could be 3rd in the league, 3 points off first. I'd be like, what? I'd be like, what? Yeah, it's a joke. But look, after Arsenal, I actually think we're starting to get a run of games together. This is what I wanted to talk about. Man United are starting to get a run of games together. And after Arsenal, I think we've got the games that we can win. So, if we beat Arsenal, that's 4 wins in 4. You start building a run of games together. But, you know, you've got Real Sociedad in the Europa League, which I expect us to win. Crystal Palace away will be a very difficult game. Crystal Palace are a very good underrated side. I think that will be that's got draw written all over it. Sheriff, we should win. Leeds, we normally batter Leeds as good as they've been this season. They did beat Chelsea 3-0. Man City, that's a difficult game. Man City's a very difficult game. Then we've got Everton. Then we've got Newcastle, which is a difficult game. Tottenham, which is a difficult game. Chelsea, which is a difficult game. But we always seem to get a result versus Chelsea. Sheriff, which will win. West Ham will be a difficult game. Sociedad, which will win. Aston Villa, they're probably sat Gerrard by then, so it probably will be a difficult game. Villa again. Fulham will be a difficult game. But then we've got, like, just before the break, we've got Forest, Wolves and Bournemouth. We've got a nice 3 games there to get us 9 points. Right after the World Cup, when we might be a bit rusty, we've got a nice few games here. But there's a lot of difficult games coming up. So what I was trying to say is, I think it's really important that we do build some kind of momentum with all the games coming up on this as well. We're only 20 likes away from 300 likes, guys. So, of course, smash that like button. And Palace, Olise, Wolf and Eze will be ready. They are very good front three as well. I think our front three will be Rashford, Antony and Martial when everyone's fit. Sancho can come from the bench. I think it could be that. As good as Sancho is, I do expect to see that. I think just like Lisandro Martinez came in and it was between Maguire and Varane for that second spot. I think with Antony coming in, it's going to be, a lot of it is going to be, we'll go back to this because it's funny. Yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is, because we're muttering, so Lisandro Martinez comes in, and now Lisandro Martinez is a guaranteed star at centre-back. And now it's between Varane and Maguire to fight it out for that next centre-back spot after Lisandro Martinez comes in. I think we'll be in a very similar position with Antony coming in. I think Antony will be the right winger, and it's now between Sancho and Rashford for left wing. I think, like Martinez has made Maguire and Varane fight it out, I think Antony will make Sancho and Rashford fight it out, which I think will make Sancho and Rashford better players. And then you've got Martial and Ronaldo to fight it out for striker. Rashford occasionally playing there. You've got Sancho and Rashford to fight it out at left wing, and Antony's your right winger, which I think brings what we need as well. Martinez coming in at centre back, meaning Maguire's dropped, Varane plays next to him, absolutely brilliant. And what I have to say, and what I love about every single one of Ten Hag signings, and I think for me one of the best things about all the Ten Hag signings is they're pushing out key, kind of what I would say, the regular players, like, you know, the so-called core, the Man United so-called core under Ollie. Malacia's come and he's pushed out Luke Shaw. Martinez has come and he's pushed out Maguire. Eriksen's come in, he's ended McFred. McFred is over, Maguire is over, Luke Shaw is over. McTominay plays, but what I'm saying is we're not seeing McTominay and Fred play together. We've seen McFred start 1 game this season together. McFred is over. They don't play together anymore. Maguire is over. Luke Shaw is over. Antony comes in, and that is, you know, Rashford only playing if he's good. Elanga gone. So Elanga's going with Antony coming in. Eriksen's ended McFred, and Casemiro's ended McFred. And Eriksen can always replace Bruno if Bruno starts dipping off. Malacia has ended Luke Shaw, and Martin has ended Maguire. And what every single one of Erik Ten Hag's signings has done is all the underperformers of last season that would play week in, week out, and were kind of untouchable under Ollie. All these so-called underperformers at Manchester United, all of a sudden have, you know, been dropped. They're all of a sudden out of the squad. The so-called underperformers at Manchester United are now out of the squad. They're now gone. It's like, you know, this complete change. And that's what I love about this new signings is it just shows that nobody's safe. Captain isn't safe. Ronaldo, the best player of all time. No, he's not safe. You know, for me, it just shows that it's like, you know, the core as well. Someone said here, no Maguire again. The combination of Martinez, Varane, Malacia, and Dillo, big up. Thanks for watching from Uganda. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. It's really interesting to see the dynamic of viewers as well. But it's what I love is the defense. I'm in love with that back four at the moment. I love that back four at the moment. I cannot fault them in the slightest as well. People call him Rashford Trashford. Look, let's respect Rashford. He's been a lot better this season if he gets back to his best as a player. And Rashford, I'm not a big fan. Maguire's been crap this season. You know, Maguire's been crap for a while. Rashford's been crap for a while. Luke Shaw's been crap for a while. But I'm not a big fan of when people go Trashford. Let's get rid of him. The transfer window's over. You can't sell him. Antony's coming, who could technically replace him. Let's go and sit here and hope that Rashford has a fucking good season because he's got a goal, he's got assist in his belt, he's got a manager that's showing a bit of confidence in him. Let's hope that Rashford uses this to kick off rather than be a little bit negative about Rashford here as well. De Jong never wanted to leave Barcelona. Stop this propaganda. All right, this is what was said by Samuel Luckhurst. I'll get it up on the screen for you to see. De Jong privately wanted to leave Barcelona because he didn't like the way he was treated them. but publicly De Jong was never going to state he wanted to leave Barcelona because that way it'd be harder for him to get his deferred wages. The only way he was going to get his wages is if, you know, Barcelona kicked him out. Marta, this was the report, had a verbal agreement with De Jong's agent, Ali Dursun, on a salary, and encouraging developments suggested De Jong was very much more receptive to joining Man United than his public proclaims suggested. Publicly, and we said, I think it was Paul Hurst that said this, I can't remember who, De Jong was stating publicly he didn't want to come to United, because if De Jong had made his desire to come to United and then publicly, there was no chance of getting his deferred wages from Barcelona. The only way De Jong got his deferred wages from Barcelona is if they actually kicked him out of the club, which is what he was trying to make them do, because he knew he wanted to get rid of. De Jong had an agreement with United. De Jong had agreed on a wage to join United with his agent. De Jong had told Ten Hag, told United he'd agreed to join. That's why we took so long on De Jong. And that's why we waited so long on De Jong, because he had that verbal agreement with United and even a wage agreed. So he was willing to join United, but it was kept quite private as well. What jersey number is Antony getting? Antony is getting the number 21 shirt, by the way, guys. That is confirmed. Antony will be getting the number 21 shirt. So fuck you, Frankie. Antony's our 21 as well. West Brom equalised, the drama going on in the Championship here, as Daniel said. And Rugby says, I'm hopeful for Marcus, but Maguire, I just give up on him. He does well, great. He does poorly. Oh, well, nothing has changed. Best be gone, not my captain. Maguire shouldn't be captain. I think Maguire's a good bench option. Maguire's a good backup option. Maguire's a good bench option. And Maguire's not captain. I'm happy with Maguire being at Man United if he's not a regular starter and he's not captain. If Maguire is doing what he's doing now regularly at United, where if Varane gets injured, he fills in. If Martinez gets injured, he fills in. I'm all for it. But for me, unless Maguire finds that World Cup form or that form he had a little in that 2-year spell under Ollie, 2 years ago where he was quite good, I don't want Maguire starting for Man United unless he's good. I still think that Maguire's not as awful as people make out. We've seen him play well for England, but he's not a captain. And if he's not playing well, he shouldn't be starting. And he's not playing well, so he shouldn't be starting. And I just think with how good Varane and Martinez have been, I don't see a way back from Maguire unless he finds his top World Cup form. And only really if there's an injury as well. But great news on the signing of Antony and also Martial. Yeah, we've got Antony. It's so confusing because we've got Antony Elanga, Antony Martial. United have got all the bloody Antonys. I tell you what, it is very confusing. It is very confusing, all the Antonys at United. We could have a front three. Elanga on the left, Martial up top, and Antony on the right. And as people were saying, it would be the Anton 3 front three. I think that front three would be like pretty crazy, bit of a tongue twister. The Anton 3 front three. I don't know if we'll see that. We might see that, to be fair. You know what? Antony was a front three. Elanga on the left because he runs around and presses. Martial because he links up play well. And Antony on the right because of his skill. That low-key could be quite a good front three as well. But look, guys, I've been live for quite a long time. It's been a much longer live stream tonight because I thought I might as well address you guys. There's a lot less people in as well because it's the end of the deadline day window, so we can have more discussions about football rather than transfer news. But a lot of the stuff I wanted to cover in this video, I didn't even cover, but I will be back tomorrow night about the same time, so do subscribe for that. But I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today's video. Of course, smash that like button. Do subscribe down below if you're new. Share the video. Thanks everyone for tuning in. See you next time.